Hello and welcome to a new edition of Cairo Local Time. In the coming hour, we'll bring you news and reports on ongoing activities taking place here in Egypt. But first, we'll go for a short break. We'll be back with some local news, so stay tuned. Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrived at Saudi Arabia capital Riyadh to participate in the first Arab-Chinese summit. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassam Radi said President al-Sisi's participation in the summit comes within the framework of Egypt's keenness to strengthen and develop distinguished historical relations between the Arab countries and China. Such ties also contribute effectively to efforts to strengthen joint Arab action mechanisms to achieve common interests. The summit aims to build on the extended political dialogue between the two sides, as well as consultations and coordination to maximize prospects for mutual cooperation at economic and development levels. Radi added that President Fattah al-Sisi's schedule will also include holding a number of bilateral meetings with leaders participating in the summit, in order to discuss ways to enhance bilateral relations, as well as discuss developments on regional and international arenas. And Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli witnessed on Wednesday the inking of 7 memorandums of understanding to start studies on projects of green hydrogen and its derivatives. The memos were inked by the Electricity Minister represented in the New and Renewable Energy Authorities NREA with the Sovereign Fund of Egypt, the General Authority for Suez Canal Economic Zone, and local and international companies. Here is the full story. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli witnessed the inking of 7 memorandums of understanding to start studies on projects of green hydrogen and its derivatives. The memos were inked by the Electricity Ministry represented in the New and Renewable Energy Authority NREA with the Sovereign Fund of Egypt, the General Authority for Suez Canal Economic Zone, and local and international companies. The inking ceremony was attended by Minister of Electricity Mohammed Sheikh, Planning Hala Saeed, and Public Enterprise Sector Mahmoud Hasmat. The memorandums were signed by the NREA CEO Mohammed Khayyat, Chairman of the General Authority for Suez Canal Economic Zone. Premier Madbouli highlighted the state efforts to attract more local and foreign direct investments to implement green hydrogen projects. He noted that Egypt seeks to be a regional center for producing green hydrogen in the region. Electricity Minister Mohammed Sheikh said the ministry received new offers from local and international companies and alliances to implement green hydrogen projects. Among signatories are the Saudi company Benchmark International Local Alliance of Aqua Power and the British Alliance of Occur Energy. And according to the Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics, CAPMAS, Egypt's exports to the Nile Basin countries increased during 2021 by 29.5% on an annual basis, reaching $1.55 billion compared to $1.1 billion in 2020. Here is the full story. Egypt's exports to the Nile Basin countries increased during 2021 by 29.5% on an annual basis, reaching $1.55 billion compared to $1.19 billion in 2020. According to the Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics, CAPMAS, the Nile Basin countries include Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, Congo, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Eritrea, South Sudan. The CAPMAS indicated in a statement that Egypt's exports to the Nile Basin countries amounted to $1.55 billion in 2021 compared to $1.19 billion in 2020. As for the imports from the Nile Basin countries, they amounted to $0.66 billion in 2021 compared to $0.56 billion in 2020, with an increase of 17.8%. According to the statement, Sudan ranked in exports as the first country with a value of $826.8 million in 2021 compared to $500.1 million in 2020. The most important items that were exported to Sudan were plastics and their products. Kenya came in a second place with a value of $382 million in 2021 compared to $387.2 million in 2020, marking an increase of 1.3%. The most important items that were exported to Kenya were plastics and articles thereof, raw materials for the plastic industry, iron and articles, paper and articles of paper, pulp, salt and stone dust. On the other hand, Sudan also ranked first in imports with a value of $336.7 million in 2021. In second place was Kenya with a value of $248.9 million in 2021 compared to $238.4 million in 2020 with an increase of 4.4%. And the Finance Minister Mohammed Maid said Egypt seeks to up its natural gas exports to $1 billion monthly in 2023, against $600 million monthly. On the fringe of his speech at Euromoney Egypt 2022, Maid said Egypt aims to raising total natural gas exports to $100 billion. Details follow. Finance Minister Mohammed Maid said Egypt seeks to up its natural gas exports to $1 billion monthly in 2023 against $600 million monthly. On the fringe of his speech at Euromoney Egypt 2022, Maid said Egypt aims at raising total natural gas exports to $100 billion. He noted that the volume of total gas exports in 2022 hit $32 billion against $25 billion in 2022. He said the Egyptian economy has the ability to absorb domestic and foreign shocks and is resilient to the repercussions due to the efficient implementation of the all-out economic reform program, as well as serious work to maintain financial stability and sustainable growth in various domains. The 2021-2022 fiscal year final statement highlights Egypt's success to maintain stability of financial performance indices in light of exceptional international economic conditions. He added that the Egyptian economy has managed to reduce the total state budget deficit to 6.1% of the total GDP and realized initial surplus of 1.3% during the previous fiscal year that ended in June 2022. Egypt also reduced debt to 87.2% against 1.3% in 2016. He added that the state expanded its social protection role by upping spending to protect and support vulnerable citizens to 33.9% to alleviate people suffering from inflation burdens. He added that the launch of the state ownership policy document opened new vistas would help lure foreign direct investments by about $10 billion annually within the coming 4 years. The net foreign direct investments flow hit the highest level in 10 years by about 71.4% in the previous fiscal year compared to the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Welcome back, dear viewers, and you are still watching Cairo Local Time. And in this segment of our program, we will talk about the Egyptian Museum as it is celebrating its 120th anniversary. Its anniversary was marked in November, and a temporary exhibition was held for a whole month to mark this occasion. Today we are joined by Mr. Ahmed Badr, is a tourism expert. He's going to tell us more about these celebrations and the exhibition which is currently held at the Egyptian Museum to mark this important event. Good afternoon, Mr. Ahmed.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you very much.
So, sir, let's start by telling our audience a historical background about the Egyptian Museum.
The Egyptian Museum, it is one of the most important museums around the world. It hosts some of the most important pieces of ancient Egyptian history.
Yes.
On top of them is the Mosque of King Tut, and which will be moved to the Grand Egyptian Museum after it will be open, and the great, amazing statue of King Khafre, one of the most perfect statues ever done in the history of mankind.
Yes.
and many other pieces that each one of them can be hosted in a museum by itself. So Egyptian Museum is some of the people who are really interested in Egyptian history, they can go
Yes.
and spend days and weeks inside of it just to try and get information about all the pieces inside. So nowadays we're celebrating 120 years of the opening of it, which was built early 20th century to host the pieces that were discovered at that time and show it to the tourists coming to Egypt. It was built by Marius Pasha, who is one of the most recognizable Egyptologists in the history.
Yes. Mr. Ahmed, on November 15th, 1902, Khedive Abbas Helmi II officially opened the Egyptian Museum, and since then it has included the largest archaeological collection in the world that expresses all stages of ancient Egyptian history from prehistoric times to the Greco-Roman eras. Can we consider this museum as one of the oldest museums here in Egypt?
Yes, it is. Yes, definitely it is. That was it was the first museum to be built as a museum, because before that they were like palaces, and they used all residential palaces to show the pieces of Egyptian history, the statues and the pieces. But that was the first one to be built as a museum. So this is one of the important things about it. And also the architecture of it, and once it was used, and the head of Isis in front of it, and the door of it, and everything about it. Really, it is by itself a piece of art, and I'm sure it will be renovated and will be back as a great exhibition museum, because, of course, unfortunately, nowadays the exhibition is not that up to the international standards, but definitely after it will be renovated and restored, it will be great attraction added to the tourism map in Egypt.
Yes. So, sir, also the government has always been keen to renovate Egyptian museums, especially in recent period, as cultural tourism is one of the important aspects of tourism here in Egypt. So, to what extent cultural tourism is attractive to tourists, and what kind of tourists is attracted to this kind of tourism?
Still, cultural tourism is, Egypt is known for its culture, for its deep culture and deep history. So still, cultural tourism is main part of Egyptian tourism attractions, along with the leisure. Leisure. What we mean with leisure is the resorts around, especially the Red Sea. And now, Luxor, Hurghada, Sharm el-Sheikh, Hurghada, these resorts. Cultural tourism is, part of it is the historical tourism, what we call the classical tourism, which is Cairo, Luxor, Aswan, Alexandria. These are the four main attractions for classical or cultural tourism, where tourists go and see the historical part of Egypt, great monuments, the museums, and also they see and they get along with the people themselves, with something like Mu'izz streets, or Old Cairo, it's not just monuments, it's also a way of life. You know, part of our culture. They can go, they can have Egyptian food, they can sit in an Egyptian cafe. All these things, they can go for shows like something like the Noura show. It's all considered as part of the cultural tourism, and it's very attractive for the tourists to come and see our way of life. It's what we call the people seeing, along with the sightseeing. So you see everything. You see sights, you see the buildings, and also you see the people. So both of them are called cultural tourism.
Yes, so sir, can you tell us more about the promotional campaigns carried out by the Ministry of Tourism these days, as we have seen that 140 German tourism companies representatives from 140 German tourism companies has visited Egypt and the Red Sea of Hurghada to explore the main tourist and historical landmarks in the country. They were invited by Egyptian national carrier. How do you see these promotional campaigns and initiatives?
Well, this is an ongoing thing. Promotions is ongoing thing, especially after the corona pandemic. So we will have to promote more, because it's tough competition. Tourism is tough competition. We are competing with other countries that they provide. They try, well, definitely they don't have what we have in terms of history and attractions, but they provide other attractions. So we always have to be ready and promoting Egypt and promoting what we have, and promoting new attractions as well, like the new museums in Sharm and Hurghada, like the Path of the Holy Family, like the new cities we're building. Many attractions are being promoted. That will help attracting more tourism, because we are inviting the people who are selling the tourists. So when they come and see themselves and see the level of service we have and what we are giving to the tourists, they can go and sell it with confidence. So they know what they are selling. Although it's much better to sell when they know, and you know the product and you tried it yourself, and you can assure your clients that you will go to Egypt and they will enjoy their time, and because I did it and I know what I'm doing, they know, so we can sell it with confidence. Definitely, this will have a very positive impact on our tourism numbers coming to Egypt.
Yes, and Mr. Ahmed, also the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities launched international promotional campaign to promote for the country and attract fans of teams participating in the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The campaign targets holders of the fan card Hayat to visit the Egyptian tourist destinations during and after their attendance to the tournament. So how successful is this initiative?
We have... Yes, it attracted some of the spectators, and because of the good prices that we are offering, and the distance between Egypt and Qatar is not that far, with plenty of flights, so it was successful to attract some of the spectators. Yes,
yes,
we could have more if we just started a little bit earlier. But at the end, if you're looking with the tourism numbers now in Egypt, it's almost everywhere is full. So that means even before this campaign, so at the end, it succeeded to attract some of these spectators.
So, sir, how do you see reservations for the winter season today?
Well, it's very good. Well, actually now in 2 weeks we'll have the peak season of the Christmas and New Year, and it's almost everywhere is full. You cannot find a room or a cabin or even a seat on a flight. Starting from 20th of December and for 2 weeks, almost everywhere is full. So that's a very good indication for the coming season.
Yes. So, sir, finally, how do you evaluate the ministry's efforts to upgrade the tourism services in different parts of the country?
It's doing very well. Still, there a lot to be done. Just needs some time and some more effort with the tourism industry itself. I mean, in terms of upgrading the service and more training for the everybody involved with travelers, whether they are hotels or guides or travel companies or even from the government sector itself. It needs some time, but they are going in the right direction.
Yes, so finally, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Ahmed Badr, tourism expert. Thank you for being with us. And
thank you very much.
Yes, the viewers, as we were talking about the Egyptian Museum, as it is celebrating its 120th anniversary, and that was marked on the 15th of November, as on 15th of November 1902, Khedive Abbas Helmi II officially opened the Egyptian Museum, and since then it has included the largest archaeological collection in the world that expresses all stages of ancient Egyptian history, from prehistoric times to the Greco-Roman eras. And by the viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of Cairo Local Time. Thank you for watching.